Stark Reality Garage. Hey, today I'm putting in new seats in the Jeep. My seats are original. I'll show you those. Picked these up this morning, and I'm excited to get them in. Obviously, there's a lot of different discussions out there about what kind of seats to put in, and these are out of another car, so I think they should be a good fit from what I've been able to find. So hopefully that works out, and I'll show you. All right, so these seats, they're black, they're leather, and they're out of a 2005 Grand Prix, Pontiac Grand Prix. These are in really great shape. The guy was parting out the car that he had picked up, and so I was able to get these at a pretty good price, just $85 a pop. So this is the driver's seat. It's got a little bit of wear on the bolster, but it is not bad at all. It's not broken, it's not torn, there's no cuts, anything like that. So my understanding is that these should work. The two bolts in the back of the seat should go in just fine, and then the two front ones they're aligned, they're just not in the right spot, so you have to drill another set of holes for these, and we can get them in. And so we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it goes that smooth. I've got my original seats in right now, and got seat covers on them. These are the neoprene kind of padded ones. I got that because these are killer worn out. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to take a few measurements, because I know the big problem everybody runs into is the distance from the seat to the steering wheel and not being able to really get in right. So we'll see how, we'll do some measurements, see how that fits, and I'm excited to get something new in, some better bolsters, much better cushioning on the bottom. Should be a good fit. So we'll see how it goes. Got it over here where you can see it. It's 4 Torx, and these are 240s. So so we'll pull those off, and we'll have the seat off of the bracket, because we're going to reuse the that bracket. That way we have that tilt forward on this side, and they should match up. We'll see. All right, so here's the bottom of the passenger seat. This one's got 6, 1, 2, 3 on each side. They're 15mm bolts, and so we'll get that off, and that'll get this bottom mechanism off. This seat has a heater in it, so I don't know if I'm going to try and use that or not, but first we're just going to get them apart and put together. Alright, so I've been tugging away at this thing. Maybe I'll get some video of what I had to do, since I wasn't quite sure. I finally got the base off. It's a little tricky. You do have to get those 6 nuts off. They're welded on. So my air gun popped some of these off. But so you're going to have to pull the cushion back and then go in from the top to get to these holes, and unscrew them from the top. They just got these bolts and stuff to take out, and these little ones to take out the little computer there for that. So I've got everything pulled apart, so now I'm going to see what I'm going to do to figure out how to mount this back up. We've got 6 holes to work with. The other one only has 2, or has 4, so we'll start playing with it. Alright, so I got the chair sitting on this table, so it's a little easier to work with now they got it all pulled apart. You're going to want these screws in the back. Those are the 2 that you're going to use, and then we're going to use these ones up front. And these ones up front are the ones that don't quite line up quite right, that I think we're going to mess with, because these ones in the back make sense to keep in the right spot. Now I'm noticing these have these little tabs here on both sides that seem to lock it into the other track, but they're in the way. So I'm going to have to bend those down out of the way. The little holes where the mounting holes for the frame, for the underframe, they don't line up in quite the right spots. They're kind of on the edge of these little pockets, and the hole for the chair is in a better spot. So I'm going to mark that onto this frame rail, and then I'll drill the frame rail out, and then we can mount straight to the chair. Alright, so the way that I lined these up is I've actually put the blue tape across the hole, sticky side up, so it was right over the center of the hole on both sides. Then I set the frame on top using these 2 to get it in the right position. Then obviously just transferred the tape over onto these, punched them, drilled them out. 5/16 hole is the size. It's not far off, you can see it, it's pretty close. So now I'll flip it over and see if we can't get this thing. Alright, so I've got it all mounted, and the frame's all mounted on at this point. I did figure out a couple things. You can't use the original bolts in the front because they stick out too far. They're too tall and they run into the slider. So I had to get some new bolts, and I also had to get some skinnier nuts that the sliders could go over the top of. So I figured out these are M10 1 1/4, and these are about I don't know, I forgot what the length is, but I got 16 millimeters and they work in just fine. So put those two in the front. I also got some lock nuts with the nylon in them, so I think that just in case will hold nice, and some washers since I drilled these out. And this is kind of just thin metal here. All right, so I got the new seat in there, and got my driver's seat here too. It's a good comparison. So they line up really, really well. If you look here, you can see they're almost the same height. There's a little more bolstering on the other one, so it pushes it up a little bit. But it looks terrific. Basically the same height on top. So I'll swing around there and show you some of the features. Everything works. All right, so the seat's in. You can see it sits in here. When you flip it back and forth, the seat belt catches on the bolster a little bit, but and also I couldn't fit the plastic little cover that goes on the edges, but I really didn't want to have it anyways. I think it looks fine without it. But you can pull the handle. Hopefully I can do it one-handed. And so the seat rolls forward so that you can bring everything forward. The tilt works. Flips forward or goes back. You can lay the seat back. And let's see, and the one thing this seat adds is you have this little handle here on the back. You flip that up and the seat flips forward and goes flat. And then you've got extra space to put something big in, long in, whatever. Didn't have that feature obviously before. So that's kind of an added feature. Lift this up to get it in. So you don't lose any functionality, you gain a little extra. And this thing, these bolsters, you can see how much bigger these bolsters are in comparison to the old seat. They really hug you and hold you in there. And while this doesn't have any springs in it, it's just foam, it is significantly thicker, so and firmer. So I'm excited. This is going to be a lot more comfortable, and this needs to be cleaned a little bit, but now I can start working on the other one. All right, so I can tell you the second chair you're going to pull apart significantly faster than the first one that you're trying to figure out. Hopefully this helps you get them done fast. So of this, and what I found was, if you undo these two by just take the seat cushion off with the little clips, come in here, just unscrew this one, screw them all out from the inside, so screw that one out and the front one, and then go to the two on the bottom and do those, and then that leaves you enough of a gap to be able to get these middle two screws out with a little ratchet. And so now that I've got this all pulled apart, these are all the holes for all of the little electronic connections. So I'll now put this up on the table and line the bracket up, and we'll get it set up. But actually first I have to remove the old seat so I can get the bracket out. All right, so I got this flipped over. I got the other seat out, so I got my brackets out. These ones are not crossed over to each other. They're open in the middle, so you got two pieces, and the only thing in the middle is the little handle for sliding it front to back. So they will kind of flop around, so we'll have to figure that out. But luckily these are in the right spot, so we're going to use this back hole as our lineup. And what I've got is I put some tape. It's upside down, so this is the sticky side right here, and it's lined up straight over that hole, directly over the hole, and on both sides. So that way I can I'll put the bolts back in here and the backs. Then I can put the rack on and line it up, and then grab the tape and flip it over, and I'll know exactly where that hole is. I'm sure there's a million other ways to do this, but this just seemed like a handy way to do it in this situation. So, all right, so that worked out great. I've got all four of the nuts in just by hand, lined up and by hand. It's kind of a little tricky, you know, you got to shove your hand up underneath and get them through, that kind of thing. These little, these are the little catches for sliding this back and forth. So you just slide them all forward, put the bolt in the back first, and slide them back, put the one in the front. This is actually a little easier than the other one that was all tied together, because you do them in pairs. So, and then when you get all done, you can take that, and it's kind of spring-loaded. So you just push it in and then put it into the little notches. So flip this over on its side. You've got a wrench. You do have to put a wrench on the inside. Just a little flat wrench like this to hold the bolt, and then you can ratchet it down and get them all tightened up. All right, so they're both in now. Obviously bolting them in is, you know, not rocket science or anything. So they fit up nicely, if I do say so myself. Look pretty good. Again, the plastic thing on this one had power, all sorts of power attachments on the bottom, so the plastic doesn't even make sense. Obviously there's a little bit of wear in this thing from the bolster, but that's going to come out, or not come out, but I don't think it's going to be a big problem with some conditioner. So the two of them in there look real good. I just measured, and if you remember, we measured to see if this is going to be any taller. This is exactly the same, 6.5 inches from the seat to here. I will say the seat seems to sit forward a little bit farther on the steering wheel. The other one sat about right there, and this one's obviously about 1.5 inches forward, but sitting in it, it feels terrific. The other thing that happens sometimes is the seat bottom is a little low. It might be a little lower in these seats than the originals, but it feels awful comfortable. So, you know, if I needed to raise this up, I could just pull it apart, put some washers in there and lift that a little bit. But they feel pretty good to me the way they are. So, for a no fabrication seat swap, the only thing you got to do is drill the holes there for the fronts to match up. This is a wonderful, wonderful addition. And I think, you know, a little easier to find these seats than probably some of the old Cavaliers or Sunfires, some of those from the 90s, since this is a mid-2000. Obviously, this Grand Prix from 2004, I think, to 8 had these seats. They look good. They fit good. The bolsters are wonderful. Great swap. Really excited to have them. Oh, and by the way, I do have the narrowest console in the middle. One of the security consoles, so it narrows here in the middle between the seats, and you definitely need that. If this was any wider, you'd be, you know, screwed. This is 8-inch, I think is what it's called, something like that. That still fits in between without any trouble. And I got my all black interior now. Now my back seat obviously won't match, but I also don't ever run it, so I'm not too worried about that. And take these things for a few runs, and I'm real excited about them. It was something that definitely needed to be taken care of. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.